I got in 5 totes of vinyl. '80s music on vinyl. That's the only way to listen to it. I got a ton of vinyl in, and I separated. I took mainly the '80s, a couple late '70s snuck in here, but I separated them. I got some one-hit wonders. These are just cool. Kind of a new wave '80s. They just scream '80s. And then I have a bunch that are people that were in other bands who kind of stepped out on their own. They didn't really make it, but hey, they thought they could. I'll start out with the one-hit wonders. We have Peter Schilling. He is German. Air in the System, you're saying, who is Peter Schilling? Well, he did a remake, kind of a remake, or the second one to Major Tom by David Bowie, the synthesizer piece. I would play these songs for you, but copyright will not allow me to. But the Peter Schilling Major Tom is actually pretty awesome. You remember it. It's synthesizer. Germany had some cool ones. You had Falco in the 80s and that Luft Balloon thing. But Peter Schilling, this is a one-hit wonder. It's still very cool. Now, all these albums are going to be worth right around the same amount. They're going to be, you can get 10 to 15. You can get more for other ones. I have one that I will show you later that is worth more than all of them. But albums are really hard. Condition is absolutely the case, and these are in great shape. You can see on the spine here, it'll have the pressing and all the numbers, and that's how you look it up. But let's just go through the albums. Peter Schilling, Major Tom, very cool song. Now, Corey Hart, this is our Canadian entry. Well, we have one more Canadian. Corey Hart, he came out with Sunglasses at Night. Corey Hart was cool. He wore sunglasses at night. He had awesome hair and the earring. This is his first offense. Corey Hart, he was Canadian. Now in Canada, they don't get a lot of sun, so you have to probably wear your sunglasses at night. But Corey Hart, Sunglasses at Night, awesome. This is when MTV was around. He's an MTV star. He had a great video. Now I put him in here because Rick Springfield. Now I know he probably has more than one hits, but nothing screams 80 like Rick Springfield. He's on a soap opera. He's got cool hair. It's all teased all over the place. He's even got a leather jacket. But, of course, Jesse's Girl. Jesse's Girl. Now, Dan Hartman. You may not have heard of Dan Hartman. He was bigger in the UK. But Dan Hartman, I Can Dream About You. You know that song. It was a very popular song. They still play it today. It's pretty cool. There he is, When We Are Young. And that is Dan Hartman. Now, this guy, Benny Mardones. Benny Mardones. You may not know who this guy is, but I guarantee you know his song. It's called Into the Night, and it's an interesting song, but this song charted in 1980 and in 1989. How did he get 2 things to chart? Well, a radio station just put him on the playlist. People picked up the playlist. So he had a hit in 1980 and he had a hit in 1989. 9 years apart for Into the Night. It is a song I guarantee you have heard. Now, these are just absolutely the 80s. These are the Motels. This looks awesome. This is cool. You can see the Motels. They have the lead singer. They're probably the Only the Lonely is one of their songs that you probably would know if you put that on. These guys look cool, like the hat. Got the Motels. Of course, is the Thompson Twins. This is awesome. You see the hair, and he's got the little thing here and the shirt. I don't know which one. They must be fraternal. It's Thompson Twins, and there's 3 of them. Hold Me Now is probably their biggest song, but Hold Me Now, but that's just a cool album cover. Now, Roxy Music, they're around since probably 1970, but they got into the 80s, and Avalon, this was their biggest album, and they were mainly bigger in the UK, but Roxy Music is definitely, this is in great shape, and there's a falcon on it. Oh, this is another one of the Motels, and I told you they had the lead singer, female lead singer. There she is. What do you do if you have 4 other members that are male? You make this strange picture. Yep, and Only the Lonely is on this album. There's a reason you're lonely if you look like this guy. And the last one we have, this is Spandau Ballet. You may not have heard of Spandau Ballet, but I know you've heard this song, especially if you grew up in the 80s, if you were in school in the 80s. There was literally This Much Is True by Spandau Ballet was literally the slow song at every junior high and high school dance, probably for the entire 10 years. Now, what I have here is albums of probably bands or people that you know. Orion Hunter. Now, this was originally Orion, then they went to Orion Hunter. These are guys from Boston. These came from Boston. There's also like the drummer from Heart. They thought, hey, we can do it better. We are Orion. And you probably haven't heard of them, but they are in great shape. Roger Hodgson in The Eye of the Storm. He had his own hit, and that is just disturbing, Roger. Roger had hits, but he is best known for Supertramp. He was formed Supertramp. He's still around. He's still touring. He's pretty cool. Now, go ahead and pronounce that one. Yeah. Wrap your arms around me. Do we know who this is? Well, if you don't know who this is, that's probably a better picture. And from ABBA. Kind of going out on their own. See, ABBA, remember they took the first letter of their names? This is one of the A's, right here. Doing it herself there. She's got a nice ring. Very big. Little Steven, Voice of America. Who's that Little Steven? He is from the Bruce Springsteen band. That is there. That is not a reflection. He's E Street Band. He's with Bruce Springsteen. He's got kind of a strange thing. If you watch The Sopranos, he was on there, and he had great hair on The Sopranos. This is probably worth the least out of all these albums. But Little Steven, it's in great shape. He looks cool. He looks intimidating. And this is probably one of the more expensive ones. This is Glenn Frey, who is no longer with us. He is from Royal Oak, Michigan. This is the All-Nighter. And he, of course, is one of the most successful bands ever, the Eagles. The Eagles, and this is his big hit, Smuggler's Blues. There's Glenn Frey. He is no longer with us. But this album is in fantastic shape. Now, I just put together some, what just screams 80s to me, and some other ones that you probably want to be on the look for. Pat Benatar. You don't even need her first name. It's Benatar. This is a live album. It's a live album from Pat Benatar. I don't know where Pat is today, but Pat rocked it out during the 80s. Now, I put this in here because this was an album that I won on the radio. I was in junior high. Got this. I was so excited. I didn't know who Scandal was. I think that's Patti Smith. I think she married John McEnroe. So she will understand my anger. So if you look at albums, if you don't know what albums are like, these are the albums, and then this is the non-album. I got this album. It literally has 2 songs on this entire record. 2 songs on the entire record. Now that is a scandal. Of course, 80s aren't complete without Pastel Colors and little Lionel Richie. Spyro Gyra. They were a fusion jazz band. They were very cool. So these albums are really actually pretty cool. Spyro Gyra, there they are. Now this is going back a little bit before, but it's La Chic, and they did La Freak. Probably one of the most iconic songs still to this day. It's Nile Rodgers, I think there he is there. He's super awesome. These guys were cool. These guys are still around. And if you can see some of these do sell. These do sell pretty well because of how cool they are. Jazz records. Jazz records are always, especially if you're looking at older albums, look for old jazz and blues. That will sell. None of the orchestra, none of the country stuff. But this is Wynton Marsalis, who is one of the most famous trumpeters in the history of trumpeting. And there he is. Cool album, great album. If you haven't had this album, you should just pick it up or listen to Winston yourself. Now, Billy Falcon's Burning Rose. I don't know who this is, but I just had to include this because if you can wear pink pants, no shoes, that shirt like that, with that hair, you deserve to be on an album cover. I mean, I don't know who he is. And the last one, Loverboy. Loverboy rocked it out. They were one of the coolest bands. They had a bunch of hits during the 80s, and they are actually Canadian. Yep, they're Canadian as well. But look for your albums. Look for them in good shape. If you can get a collection, you get them, you can send them out. If I had $10 for every one of these, that's pretty good money for these. And sometimes you'll find albums that are unopened. And that's one I found here. Now, Patsy Cline, she's not the 80s. She died tragically. The Patsy Cline story. This album's probably worth not more than all these albums, but this is worth the most. You can see it cost $10.49 back then, but this one is sealed. And this is about pressing. This is the first pressing of the Patsy Cline story. This one goes for probably 2.5 times these, and plus, it is sealed, and that even makes it more desirable. So take a look. You can buy the cardboard things. You can get the sleeves. When you ship them, you actually take them out. Take them out of there. Put them on the side, because we don't want this ring like poor Benny got. You can see that ring. It's still in good shape. The 80s rock. My kids loved the 80s. They said it must have been cool to live in the 80s. Well, they had big hair, tight pants, no cell phone, no internet. It seems like it would be fun. But thanks for watching. Take a look at vinyl. Vinyl's real hot right now. And always remember, just because you find an album that's sealed, it may be because no one wanted to listen to it. But everyone always wants to listen to Loverboy.